I said last time that my bar for this movie was at the floor. But was Madam Web literally the worst movie of all time? Well, no, that clearly belongs to Christopher Nolan's Tenet. I'm just kidding, I like that movie. But Madam Web is really bad. Okay, let's do this. Hey movie fans, I'm Matt, and today we're looking at Madam Web starring Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, Isabela Merced, and Celeste O'Connor, and is directed by S.J. Anderson. Now every so often a movie comes around that just kind of grabs movie fandom by the throat and you just can't avoid it. Even more so because I'm in the movie review community.
You gonna take it? You gonna take that dip?
And normally I try really hard to avoid any and all reviews until after I see a movie and review it. That way the thoughts I come up with are that of my own. This, unfortunately, is a bit of a different story. Because of the overwhelmingly bad thoughts towards this film, it was hard to get through any social media without getting hit with a barrage of feelings about this movie. But I have seen it, and I do have my thoughts. And I'm sure some of my thoughts are going to mirror those of others or yourself, and some of my thoughts maybe won't. And I know others in the community have taken numerous approaches to breaking down this magnificent disaster, but I'll stick to what I know, talking about the movie I saw. And it's bad. But honestly, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
What did he say?
There's not much to highlight here in terms of praise, but I can easily say that one of the film's highlights is the presence of Adam Scott. The man is a reliable actor whose performance adds a layer of credibility to a project because, well, Lord knows it needed it. P.S. Where is season 2 of Severance? However, beyond Adam Scott and maybe an intriguing concept, there isn't much here to applaud. The writing emerges as a significant drawback, rendering the film as basic as it can get. And what bothers me is that we have a studio like Sony that has the ability to get a team together to make amazing Spider-Man content like the first and second Raimi films or the Spider-Verse films and get a movie like this so wrong. And I talked about this in my Captain Marvel review, but it continues to fuel the notion that people are tired of comic book movies, which isn't the case. You're making bad movies. Now, don't tell my wife, but I have a huge crush on Dakota Johnson, and I think she's okay in this as Cassandra Webb. But I've certainly seen her in better movies and given better performances though. But her character's growth is disappointingly limited throughout most of the film. It's only in the last few minutes that any semblance of character development occurs, and it feels unearned. I want to make this clear that my knowledge of the comic book character of Madam Web is supremely limited to just what I saw in the 90s Spider-Man animated series, but that was so long ago, and frankly, I'm not sure how much of Johnson's iteration matches that of the comic book, or any of it at all. And having seen her in multiple projects, I don't blame her for this. I blame the writing and the direction. And speaking of the direction, S.J. Anderson has been around for a hot minute, directing episodes of Orange is the New Black and Jessica Jones and Succession. So I'm left here wondering, what the hell happened? I mean, I have ideas, but that's Hollywood? Were you expecting action in this film? Well, I hope not, because there's no action until the final 20 minutes of this film. The editing of Madam Web on a whole is pretty straightforward, but there are numerous scenes that suffer from constant zoom in, zoom out, or an excess of stylized motion shots. During certain action scenes, there's an overuse of camera movement, and it's extremely noticeable. There are undoubtedly some cool shots, but it's so overdone. Feel free to call it a nitpick, that's fine, but the point I'm making is that the stylistic choices seem really inconsistent, and at times it just feels like it's messing with the flow of the film. But easily one of the worst standout elements in Madam Web is the ADR, and it almost relates 100% to the film's villain. There are many noticeable moments where the dialogue we hear doesn't match the movement of the mouth on screen, and it comes off as super amateurish. And this is coming from a guy in a room filming videos. Again, this is the same studio that gave us the amazing Spider-Man film. That movie is great, I just don't get it. Now, this complaint I've heard online makes zero sense to me, and it revolves around the perceived absence of Spider-Man connections. The film clearly reveals that these connections exist, but they're not overtly thrown in your face. One last point for me to dig into real quick, and that's just the music of the film. There are sweeping moments of grand score in this film that are nice to listen to, And then there's a time capsule of music, but it feels clumped together. Nothing feels cohesive. Britney Spears is there just to be there.
It's Britney, bitch. And I am back.
Oh, but wait, what about Sydney Sweeney and Isabela Merced and Celeste O'Connor? They're fine. They have good chemistry together on screen, but again, my issues aren't their performances, it's the writing. I've complained a lot. My overall commentary about Madam Web is this. Comic book movies aren't new, and it's just sad that time and energy is wasted on any of these properties that have decades of stories to pull from to get films like this. Moviegoers don't need excuses from studios. We get you want to make money. That's fine. And audiences have shown that we'll gladly give it to you when you make good content. I can put my fake plea out there and say, Hollywood, be better. But Hollywood's always gonna Hollywood, and unfortunately, I can only dream that Sony's gonna get their act together. But then I remember that we still have Kraven and Venom 3 coming this year. And obviously, I'm sure you've gotten the point, but there's no way I can recommend this movie to you. I don't even see it as being so bad it's good. Let's just forget about it and on to the next. Even though I'm not recommending it, as always, I encourage you to watch the film and form your own opinion though. Let me know your thoughts about it, if you see it, down in the comments below and have your voices heard. Also, if you enjoyed this review, please like this video and subscribe to my channel to get a new movie review from me every week. It's been kind of a downer with the last few movies I've reviewed, but next week, cinema truly returns. Well, at least to the people who have seen it, but Dune 2 is coming to theaters, and dear God, I cannot wait to see this thing in IMAX. My body is ready. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys at the movies.